Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. And I know what you're thinking. You're going, Dave, we already made this video about Kaitlyn Bristowe. We already covered it. I know, but now all of the gossip rags are covering it. Kaitlyn Bristowe accuses ex Sean Booth of using her until his gym opened. You know, and I go, clickbait or nah, you know what I mean? But it is pretty much what she said, but she prefaced it in a very nice way. We already covered the story, but now we're going to go into what the rags are saying. Reality Steve commented on it. Very insightful to always hear what Steve Carbone thinks. My friend Steve, who eats his chicken wings without sauce like a psychopath. What are you, an alien? Just raw, plain, not raw. If you ate his chicken. Can I get those chicken wings uncooked? So anyway, we'll get to what he has to say on this thirsty Thursday afternoon. If you are following me in Los Angeles and want to come to a stand-up show, I'm performing at a comedy venue tonight in Pasadena. Follow me on Instagram for those tickets. Tomorrow night in downtown Los Angeles. And also patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content. And before we get into this story, I have a heartwarming little thing I got here from a member. I was given the approval to post this from Dave Neal's community. When I record my videos, a lot of times I'll make them during a Patreon, which means I will be live on the private membership while I make content like I'm doing right now. Hello, Patreon. It's usually about 10 to 20 people that are watching in the chat. But Jessica posted this. She had her daughter, special needs 8-year-old, who was happy to meet Mr. Dave, and I found out what her name was. And here's a clip that they shared on the Dave Neal community from our Patreon conversation.
I want to make sure I pronounce Noelia. Is it Noelia? What a beautiful name. Yes, Noelia, I'm talking to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day today.
Okay.
Yeah, Jonah, Cal State.
How adorable is that laugh? Hello, Noelia. You are here with us on the public channel now, and so of course I gave her one last shout out on the sign off.
Make sure I pronounce Noelia. Is it Noelia?
Oh, I'm on the wrong one, and then this one. Let's go to it here. Do we get to
BRB? Bye, Noelia.
All right. So, hey, shout out to Noelia and her mom, Jessica, for sharing that on the Dave Neal's community. So much fun. And also, I'm going to give you a clip right here. This is a clip. I've got the full video coming to Patreon tonight, patreon.com/Dave Neal. This is a full clip of my stand-up show with Katie Thurston at the Sold Out Mic Drop Comedy Club. And this is just the moment where the inner ring of people got adult toys. The VIPs got adult toys, and I just some quick crowd work covering that.
I can't stop. This thing's looking at me in the eyes right now. I can just see. I love how, by the way, I love how, like, let me just take it home with me. Thank you, that's my set. I love how there's just no sort of, like, a mystique. It's just called clip pleaser. Like, there's no questioning what it does. 10 air pulsating speeds. Here's the problem. This is for the 7 men in the room. If you've ever used one of these on your lady because you care, you'll know that when it's time to turn it off, you hit the buttons and it just goes.
So if you want to see that full set with Katie Thurston,
For Dave Neal.
go check that out. That'll be on the patreon.com/Dave Neal. Okay, let's get to this story. Kaitlyn Bristowe accuses ex Sean Booth of using her until his gym opened. So we already played what she said. I'm just going to play very quickly the video we made several days ago, 2 days ago, so you can hear what she said, and then we'll cover the other spat with her ex Sean Booth.
But like it was always if I was there, then he was invited. And I think that on top of already feeling emasculated on the show where you're not the one and there's other relationships building and you thought it was you the whole time and then you realize it wasn't.
Being in his feud with Nick Viall. It's funny when people talk about like, oh, the fragile male ego. Yeah, it can be. It can be fragile, because society is looking at you like, what, you're just going to let your woman have sex with another man? You know what I mean? It's like, is that fragile, Because Sean was never able to recover from that.
Like, how does a relationship even work after that? I don't know. It's hard. But it was like getting down to the end where we both just didn't see it going anywhere, but it felt like he was hanging on until his gym opened. And that's where I felt used.
Professionally. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me also
and she said she felt used professionally.
reverse the roles here.
Okay, so then we have Reality Steve responding to that. Let's go to Reality Steve here.
And let's face it, there is a giant power imbalance when you come off this show. Jason even specifically says this show basically emotionally, physically, financially makes it almost damn near impossible to succeed as a couple once you come off the show. So I found that interesting. So that was a good conversation, and I read what Kaitlyn said on the podcast so you don't have to listen to it. But I really appreciated what she said. I think it was a very good conversation, and it wasn't I'm just going to take shots at my ex. No.
So again, I hadn't even listened to Reality Steve before, but he's got the same perspective as I do. She wasn't taking shots at her ex. It's like, yeah, you're going to have to deal with people clickbaiting this out, and people be like, why is she still talking about this? Well, she's having a conversation with her fiance, Jason Tartick, on a podcast about, all the things that go on with the financial world of being an influencer. And she very eloquently discusses how it affected her past relationships. She doesn't have to use his name, Sean Booth, for them to know exactly what she's talking about. And maybe Sean did hang on. Maybe he compartmentalized all the stresses of putting his gym together. And he said, I can't go through a divorce. I can't or breakup. I can't break up with her right now. I'm just going to focus on getting this gym together. And then afterwards, it's like, I don't know, was she there for the ribbon cutting ceremony and then he dumped her right after? No, I'm sure there's a lot more nuance in that. But, she's able to feel used because she has to wonder, is this person here for the right reasons? You know what I mean? So anyway, she had mentioned that. They called it quits in 2018. The same year, Booth, a personal trainer and fitness professional, opened a gym in Nashville. He must have gotten hit real hard with the COVID, unfortunately. 1 year later, Kaitlyn Bristowe moved on with fellow Bachelor Nation star Jason Tartick and eventually accepted a proposal from him in May of 2021. Sean Booth, for his part, discussed his split from Kaitlyn Bristowe in her relationship with Tartick in a November 2021 Austin AF podcast interview. We covered that. He said, I guess it wasn't true love because we'd still be together if it was. And of course, that will get clickbaited like Sean Booth says it wasn't true love. And look, what is it? If you break up, does that mean it was or was not love? I mean, we all have so many definitions for what love is. Love can be fleeting. I think love can come, it can go, it can be transactional, and maybe that isn't true love. Maybe true love is what you find when you show your ugliest side and whatever. I think in other circumstances, Sean and Kaitlyn may have worked out, but yeah, maybe Sean was raised and lives in a world where he wasn't able to get over the very challenges that most people aren't able to get over that go on the show. He says, but you're put in a situation where you're completely secluded from the world. You can't talk to your friends. You can't talk to your family. You can't watch TV. You don't have the internet. I do have to say, watching Sean Booth's, his quarrel with Nick Viall was heartbreaking because you could see him ruminate over the ego that exists that says like you're being wronged, and if she really loves you, why would she do this and all these other things? And she just didn't come at it from the same place Kaitlyn did because they were in different positions. How could Sean Booth ever know what it's like? He was never in that position. So yes, he obviously struggled there. Let's see if the Reality Steve has any other comments.
It was a little bit different. It was her feelings, and it was her just like, look, I could be wrong on this, but this is just how I feel, and this is how I look at the situation now, kind of looking back on it. Also, Kat Izzo.
All right, so then he goes into Kat, which we already covered. So that's pretty much it. We don't have too much to report here about the Kaitlyn Bristowe story other than to say, hey, we called it two days ago that it would be clickbaited to hell. And although I got to tell you, they used quotes. But this is what they do, right? They say Kaitlyn Bristowe accuses ex Sean Booth of using her until his gym opened. I don't think she said his name, right? I could be wrong, but they do the thing where they paraphrase and then they put in quotes. It could have been like Kaitlyn Bristowe goes on a tirade about his ex, blah blah blah. Quote, until his gym opened. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm being tic-tacky. I thought the reporting was relatively fair. Okay, well, that's going to be it from me today. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a Love is Blind story. We have Shake from Love is Blind discussing on a podcast that was just unearthed that other people on his season were also comparing height and physical attributes. If you don't follow Love is Blind, it's making a lot of waves right now. The next 3 episodes, I believe, will air tomorrow night. You bet your bottom dollar I will be covering that on Saturday morning. So if you aren't already subscribed for Bachelor content, make sure you're subscribed for Love is Blind, and we'll have more of that coverage along with some additional content for you tomorrow on the Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Do me a favor, folks. Let's be kind out there. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.